Haribol, Haribol, Nitya Gaur, Haribol. Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gaur Premanandi. What part of India is your family from? Karnataka. Do you know what our topic is for tonight? Gopala Bhatta Gosvami. From South India, from Sri Rangam. His father was the chief priest in Sri Rangam. And he became one of these 6 Goswamis. And we're going to hear the story of how that happened. Very special person. You'll see. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschachade Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. On the screen is a nice painting. The color combination, it's a giveaway. This is Pushkar Prabhu. It's his style. Very colorful, lots of flowers in the front. And the 2 in the center of these 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And we'll hear something about both of them because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Gopal when he was just 7 years old that one day he would meet Rupa and Sanatan 22 years later. And so he did. So all 6 of these 6 Goswamis were assigned as their place of residence for the rest of their lives after they had Lord Chaitanya's association, was to stay in Vrindavan and do exactly what you see them doing. They're writing books, they're discussing the topics within those books, enlivening one another, enlightening one another, and providing the world with abundant treasures of transcendental knowledge of the highest truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. And one of those 6, here's a nice drawing, very old style drawing, is Gopal Bhatta sitting underneath a tree. That's the river Jamuna by his side. In the background, that's a little cottage where he would stay. And he's writing as he was instructed. Among other things, he was instructed. And the quote that's at the bottom, it's really small, but it says, Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami one of the 6 Goswamis wrote, O Sri Radha, you are the queen of the heart of Govinda. Please engage me in your service. Pretty simple. And so Radha engaged Gopal in Govinda's service. We'll hear. So one of the chief contributions he made, as you see in this little drawing, is his writing. Another very significant contribution he made was he became the Diksha Guru of Srinivasacharya. So it appears Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then in disciplic succession Rupa and Sanatan, and then next in line disciplic succession Jiva Goswami, and next in line was three very prominent persons, one of whom was Srinivasacharya, Shyamananda. And so these three students trained by Jiva Goswami became the next in line of disciplic succession. And one of the writings of Srinivasa, as you see, he's dressed in white. He was a grahastha, and he was instructed to accept a wife. He wrote the Goswami Astaka, these very celebrated prayers, and one of the comments in the Ashtaka is this Chakva Turnamashesha Mandala Patishani Sada Tuchavat, indicating that each of these six, himself included, previously were highly placed individuals in society, different positions of high positions in society. For example, Gopal was the son of the chief priest of Sri Rangam. And he was due, because of being the son of the chief priest of Sri Rangam, to become the next chief priest of Sri Rangam. That's what an honor. You all know Sri Rangam. It's like, phew. But he, by the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he left that privilege, that opportunity, and he took up a mendicant's life, Goswami life. And his disciple wasn't a Goswami, his disciple was a Grahastha. But there's this nice teaching we're going to hear in a moment by Rupa Goswami about being properly situated. So the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were both renunciates and grahastas. That's not grahastas are excluded or something or something like that. Here's the verse where it's the translation that Prabhupada, Yuktam Vairagya Uchate, the last line. We'll say the verse together. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagya Uchate. So, anasakta, without asakti, without attachment to Vishaya, sense gratification, Yatarham Upayunjataha. One is to engage that which is in relation with Krishna, Krishna Sambandha, without attachment, engaging without attachment, that which is from Krishna in Krishna's service. Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate, or that person is rightly situated above possessiveness. So as Gopala Bhatta Goswami, so also his disciple, who was Grahastha, rightly situated above possessiveness. Now, I mentioned one, that's Sad Goswami Astaka by Srinivasacharya, and there's a number of other very celebrated writings, beautiful prayers describing particularly the Gopala Bhatta. This one is Kavi Karnapur. Now, I searched for it and I couldn't find a copy. At least I don't have a digital copy of this writing of Kavi Karnapur. So Kavi Karnapur is another celebrated personality in disciplic succession. And he wrote a number of very important books. And one of those is just a Panchakam. It's a series of 5 glorifications of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. And then there's larger, wider versions. Rupa Goswami, Astakam, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami has written an Ashtakam about Krishna Das Kaviraj, and so forth and so on. So there, these nice teachings are an opportunity for us to get acquainted with these very elevated personalities. And we'll see that not just in terms of the world, but in terms of the spiritual world. Very elevated. There's a prayer that's listed at the bottom. Here it is again. Oh, Shri Radhe, oh, Shri Radhe, you're the queen of the heart of Govinda. Please engage me in your service. The queen of the heart of Govinda. Now, from the position from which he was writing, according to this very same person, Kavi Karnapur, you heard his name already. Kavi Karnapur, one of his writings, aside from glorifying Gopala Bhatta Goswami, he wrote a very lengthy text that identifies all the personalities in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. Who are they in Krishna's Leela, for example? Who is Lord Chaitanya? It's Krishna himself. Who is Lord Nityananda? Balaram himself. Who is Advaita Acharya? Mahavishnu. Well, this is going through the Panchatattva. Who is Gadadhar? Srimati Radharani. Who is Shivas? Narada Muni. And so forth and so on. As with those same 5, so with all the associates. That is to say, it's a nice understanding. Here's an elaboration of the nice understanding. It's discussed in the writings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and elsewhere that in the spiritual sky, let's go way up to the spiritual sky, Goloka Vrindavan. In Goloka Vrindavan, there's Vrindavan, there's Mathura, and there's Dwarka, eternally situated. That's 3. And then there's a 4th, and that's Navadvip. The language of our acharyas is one of the quadrants. Quadrants makes 4. So the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being principally Krishna Bhaktas, they may attain that realm, Goloka. And in that realm of Goloka, if one is a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, listen carefully, I'll say it slowly, one also participates in Gaura Leela eternally. One also participates in Gaura Leela eternally. And that place is Sweta Dweep. Now there's a Sweta Dweep that's the White Island, Sweta Dweep, where Shiradakshai Vishnu resides. That's one Sweta Dweep. But there's a quadrant in Goloka, known also as Sweta Dweep, where Lord Chaitanya and his associates are engaged in their activities together. So if one becomes perfect, the technology isn't described, but one manifests an eternal swarup, eternal spiritual form with with Krishna and Krishna's Leela in Goloka Vrindavan, and a form that's participating with Lord Chaitanya in Gaura Leela. It's not like the soul divides into two pieces or something like that. It's a manifestation in both Leela by absorption, because they're non-different. The external, but the internal are the same. The external looks different, but the internal mood is quite the same. So the internal mood of Gopala Bhatta, according to Kavi Karnapur, has different features. One of those different features is Ananga Manjari. Who's Ananga Manjari? Ananga Manjari is the younger sister of Radha. Radha has an older brother, and Radha has a younger sister. And the younger sister is Ananga Manjari. And there's another form, and that other form is Guna Manjari. We'll see shortly. Srinivasacharya, remember his name, he is a disciple, he's a Diksha disciple of Gopala Bhatta, and he wrote some prayers to Guna Manjari, indicating the spiritual identity, the Braja Leela identity of Gopala Bhatta. So here's a nice one nice young devotee made a nice painting. Guna Manjari. And Guna Manjari, according to the nice description, Guna Manjari is a principal Sakhi of Champakalata. Her complexion is bright like lightning. She wears a fine silk dress of the color of a red jaba flower. I don't know what a jaba flower is. Maybe some of you know what that is. She is famous for her strong desire to make Rupa Manjari happy. Who is Rupa Manjari? In Gaura Leela, Rupa Manjari is Rupa Goswami. Now, Rupa Goswami isn't one of the principal gopis. Rupa Goswami is one of the principal manjaris, the assistants to the principal gopis. But, the servant of the servant. And he's the servant of the servant of the servant. That's Gopala Bhatta. He liked serving Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami accepted service from him. He's the father of Chandrabhanu. Chandrabhanu is the father of Champakalata, one of Vrishabhanu's brothers. So those of you who don't know Gaura Leela or Krishna Leela, that's okay. Vrishabhanu. Who's Vrishabhanu? Vrishabhanu. Radharani's father. So Radharani's father had a brother, Chandrabhanu. And Chandrabhanu was the father of Champakalata. So there's a detailed. And notice in Guna Manjari's hand, who she's holding. She's holding Radharaman, that wonderful deity of Vrindavan. We'll hear more of the wonderful deity of Radharaman. So here's Srinivasacharya's glorification of Guna Manjari. He's not referring to him as Gopala Bhatta, but it's Gopala Bhatta. Oh, Guna Manjari, the embodiment of divine love, please listen to my prayer. As I ponder upon your countless qualities, my mind simply becomes enchanted by you. Seeing me as a distressed soul, please constantly bestow your mercy upon me. Due to your own magnanimous nature, please fulfill my desire. besides you, who, like the water-laden cloud of the monsoon, will quench my thirst. You are undoubtedly the hope for the hopeless. In my heart, I'm completely convinced about that. I beg you to kindly look upon me with your tender eyes shining with sympathy. So he Srinivasacharya, is wanting the mercy of Gunamanjari. Bestow your mercy upon me. That's the request. So in his childhood, he was the son of the chief priest of Srirangam. There's a nice photograph of the deity, Sri and Bu deities in the front, in their Utsav Murti of Narayana. And the very large deity, reclining in the waves of the ocean. And here's a close-up of the deity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as many of you know already, he, at a very young age, he accepted the order of sannyas. And when he accepted the order of sannyas, there was a divine arrangement whereby his mother requested him, I know that you're so attracted to Krishna that you want to go to Vrindavan. Please don't go to Vrindavan. You're my only son. My husband, or your father, is deceased. You're my only shelter. If you go to Vrindavan, I may never see you or hear of you again. But Krishna is also in Puri. So can you go to Puri instead and make that your place of residence? Because the devotees from Bengal go every year to Puri to attend Rath Yatra. And when they come back, I'll get word of you. And he accepted, so he went to Puri and made that his place of residence. And of course, he continued to travel and so forth, but that was the principal place where he resided, in Jagannath Puri. And after some time, not too long, to fulfill a mission, which was take the chanting of the holy name and spread it throughout the land, he traveled in South India. His external purpose was he wanted to look for his elder brother, because his elder brother had also accepted sannyas, and he wanted to see if he could find his elder brother somewhere in South India. Look for a needle in a haystack. Good luck. But he was looking for his brother. That was the external. But he knew his brother had already departed because he's omniscient, Supreme Lord. But the external reason was to look for his brother. The internal reason was to give the chanting of the holy name to everyone, everywhere. And it so happened that in the course of his travel, the 4 months of the rainy season began when he reached Srirangam. And seeing the ecstatic exhibition of love of Godhead, that in dancing and chanting and before the deity of Ranganath, the chief priest and everybody else was completely astonished, because the chief priest was a grahastha. He invited the sannyasi to please take your meal at my home. So Lord Chaitanya took his meal at his home, an invitation. And then he said, because it's the beginning of the rainy season, can you just stay in my home for the 4 months of the rainy season? It was a perfect script. And so that's what happened. When Gopal, there are different biographies, but most of them say 7 years, but somewhere between 7 and 10 years, he stayed at the home of Venkata Bhatta, and there were 2 brothers. And the son as was ceremoniously a foot bath given to the sannyasi, he received some of the Charanamrita from his foot bath. And immediately he displayed some symptoms of ecstasy just taking some drops of water from his foot bath. Naturally, there was discussion between the chief priest, Venkata Bhatta, and this young sannyasi. I mean, young because he was 24. It's pretty young for a sannyas. And they engaged in conversation. So one conversation is recorded in detail. It's like many pages long. But the conversation began by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asking Venkata Bhatta to offer his explanation. It is well known, so that it goes like this. The conversation begins like this. It is well known the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is a perfectly chaste personality. She's completely, perfectly chaste to Narayana. But it is also said in scripture that she wanted to enter into the rasa dance. Could you explain? Sounds like not chaste. So Venkata Bhatta said, no problema. He said, because Krishna and Narayana are the same, there's no violation of her chastity. Please don't sit right in the doorway. That's a bad place to sit. Come all the way in. And while we're at disturbing everybody, everyone move a little bit forward, because for some reason or other, some people come a little bit later and they need a place to sit. So if you can sit forward. Yeah, okay, you've got your back against the wall. You're good. Okay. Hare Krishna. We're telling the story about Lord Chaitanya and Venkata Bhatta. Venkata Bhatta, he's the chief priest in Srirangam. So Lakshmi is not unchaste by wishing to enter the rasa dance, although the rasa dance is with Krishna and the gopis. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, but she's the goddess of fortune. Very well, but she underwent austerities. Why is the goddess of fortune undergoing austerities? She's the goddess of fortune. And he said, I don't have the answer to that question. And not only she underwent austerities, but she wasn't allowed in the rasa dance. Why is that? They're not different, but she wasn't allowed in the rasa dance. Why is that? And he said, I don't know, but I think you know. So then Lord Chaitanya added, he said, the Upanishads, they also underwent austerities, and they were allowed. But she wasn't allowed in the rasa dance. Why is that? And then I think you'll have to explain, because I don't have the answer. So he explained that the pastimes in Vrindavan are unique, that one needs the mood of simplicity and humility, and not Aishwarya, but Madhurya. And Lakshmi, her mood is opulence. She's the goddess of fortune. She has unlimited opulence, and that mood doesn't fit in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So in order to enter into the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, not just rasa dance, but any of the pastimes in Vrindavan, one requires a different mood. And to get that different mood is through the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan. He was teaching, indirectly, but teaching Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Now what's that? For those of you that are not familiar with that term, there's the standard practice that everyone does. Everyone. And that's Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. There's vidhis, there's rules, do's and don'ts. You follow the vidhis, and you engage in bhakti. You serve Krishna, you serve the personality of Godhead, Narayan, or any of the forms of the Lord, following rules. Duty. And you perform your prescribed duty and avoid the things that are in violation of that duty and make that as an offering unto the personality of Godhead. That's Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. And it's described in detail by Rupa Goswami. And that Rupa Goswami got that understanding from Lord Chaitanya. Because Lord Chaitanya came not only to teach Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, because that was already there, but in addition, by following rules, then one may, by getting mercy of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or the associates of the eternal residents of Vrindavan, one may get this other mood, this spontaneous mood. And one who becomes a follower of those who have that spontaneous mood, continuing with the vidhis, or the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, is called Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And then the spontaneous love. So that was, he wasn't giving all of this teaching that Rupa Goswami gave, but he's explaining that Lakshmi had not had that association. And so she wasn't eligible. And goddess of fortune, but not, she is the all opulent Aishvarya personality. And Vrindavan is not Aishvarya, it's Madhurya. So as long as she was thinking of herself as in that identity, she was unable to enter. And that was one of the many conversations. And the many conversations resulted, while he is having this discussion with Venkata Bhatta, the other two brothers are also there, and the little boy Gopal is there. And from time to time, little Gopal would do little services for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a sannyasi and a little 7-year-old boy. So sometimes he would wash his clothes. Sometimes he would bring the meals. Sometimes he would massage his legs. So one time while massaging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's legs, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to little Gopal, 7-year-old boy, "You're an eternal associate of Radha in Vrindavan. You are an eternal associate of Radha in Vrindavan." And immediately Gopal said, "And you, my lord, are the son of Nanda Maharaj, who has assumed the form of a mendicant sannyasi." That very night, with this exchange the two had, there was a dream. Gopal had a dream. In the dream, I'm going to read, Lord Chaitanya, I won't read it. Lord Chaitanya showed his form of Lord Chaitanya, and then he withdrew the form of Lord Chaitanya and showed his form of Shyamasundar, Krishna in Vrindavan, Brajendra Nandana Shyam, two-hand form playing a flute. And then he withdrew that two-hand form playing the flute and again manifested his form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his dreams. After this little discussion between the two of them, he was like verifying and giving him this very unique darshan. And during the very same dream, when he again showed the form of Lord Chaitanya, he said, and Gopal remembered this for the rest of his life, "You will meet two jewel-like persons, Rupa and Sanatana. I have given them my mentality." Now, it's spoken in Sanskrit, so anyway, manovritti, to publish my teachings. So Lord Chaitanya had already met Rupa and Sanatan before he before he took sannyas. After he took sannyas, he also met them. So he's omniscient. And I have given them my mentality to publish my teachings. However, by your disciples, these teachings will spread to every town and village. This is like Vyasadeva being able to treat Kalagya, look into the future and see what's going to happen before it happens. And this is a little 7-year-old boy, where Lord Chaitanya is instructing him in a dream. So they lived like this for 4 months. Every day something, every day something, every day something. Highlights are identified, but picture 4 months. And Lord Chaitanya is informing you, you are an eternal associate of Radharani. In which he is. And when it came time for Lord Chaitanya to leave, the family that was hosting him for 4 months cried and cried and cried, and Venkata Bhatta appealed to him, please stay a few days longer. He stayed a few days longer. And then it was time to leave, he fainted. But during those few days that he stayed, Lord Chaitanya gave personal instructions to Gopal, 7-year-old boy. Here's his instructions, recorded consistently in his biographies. For now, because he wanted to go with him, he said, no. For now, stay here and serve your father and mother. After they have departed this world, you may go to Vrindavan and join Rupa and Sanatan. He already indicated the day will come where you meet them. Now he's telling them, this is what they're in Vrindavan. You go and join them. Always engage yourself in hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna. So he lived with that instruction, and he fulfilled that instruction. For another 22 years, he remained in Srirangam until towards the end, the faltering end of his parents' life. They said, soon we're going to depart this world. When we depart this world, you go to Vrindavan, as Lord Chaitanya instructed you to do, and serve Rupa and Sanatan. Before that, before he went to Vrindavan, he received mantra diksha from one of his uncles. Trimala Bhatta was one of his uncles, and Prabodhananda Saraswati was another one of the uncles. And he received diksha, mantra diksha from Prabodhananda Saraswati. He was a brilliant scholar. Later, Prabodhananda Saraswati also migrated to Vrindavan and set up a little bhajan kutir by the side of the river Jamuna. Sometime when you go to Vrindavan, you'll see the place. Right by the side of the Kaliyagat. So because he was his Diksha Guru, he also vastly learned it, and he trained him in all the things little boys are supposed to learn. Little Brahmin boys are learn grammar and poetics and Srimad Bhagavatam. It's said, even during this time, he became, a young boy, became a highly acclaimed scholar. So he went from a young boy to spending 22, you add 22 to 7. He's almost 30 years old before his parents left. There's a nice painting in Srirangam where there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing, there's little Gopal, and there's some others. And they'd see in the background of the Srirangam temple, instructing for those 4 months. So 30 years in Srirangam, 45 years, that makes 75 years of age in before he left. And when it was time to leave, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still in Jagannath Puri. So you know your geography. From Sri Rangam due north is Puri. But he didn't go to Puri because that was not what he was told to do. He was told, go take association of Rupa and Sanatan. So he didn't even go see Lord Chaitanya. He could have, but that wasn't the instruction. So he did what the instruction said. He went to Vrindavan. When he went to Vrindavan, there was rumor, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the rumor, that Gopal finally made it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent a messenger with a little letter to Rupa, please confirm, did Gopal make it? And the letter came back confirming, yeah, he not only made it, but he's taken up a mendicant's dress. And in addition, Rupa Goswami, in the same reply letter, described to Lord Chaitanya, he had a dream, and in his dream, his Govindaji deity had requested for Gopala Bhatta to become his pujari. No, in the spiritual platform, Gopala Bhatta is an eternal servant of Sri Rupa Manjari, as Guna Manjari, assisting Rupa Manjari. So the deity of Rupa Manjari or Rupa Goswami is Govindaji. And Govindaji says, I want him to be my pujari. Shoo. He's 30 years old. Govindaji wants you to be his pujari. So he accepted that service. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received that letter from Rupa Goswami, he made it. And this is what Govindaji wants. Then Lord Chaitanya sent back a reply letter. There's no information what was in the reply letter to Rupa, but there is information. In addition, he sent a package of gifts for Gopala Bhatta. Now he's a mendicant, or a Goswami. He's now in the sannyas ashram. And he sent him a loincloth. It says different things. Loincloth, the lower garment of a sannyasi. Some kopins, a lower garment, and a gadi. And what's a gadi? It's a little sitting place where Lord Chaitanya would sit, where brahmanas would engage in puja. They don't just sit on the floor. They don't just sit on a basically a wooden plank with little legs. So the description, it's consistent. 12 inches in height, the little legs, and 10 inches in width. So that little gadi is on display, and they worship that gadi, or that sitting place, still today in the temple of Gopala Bhatta Goswami in Vrindavan. It's tadiya, or worshipable paraphernalia of the Supreme Lord. And Gopal, kept that garment and worshipped it also, because it's not, the tadiya, it's just like when you do, let's just take the temple. In the temple, there's deities, and on the altar of the deities, there's a lamp, there's a bell, there's a conch shell, there's paraphernalia. Then in the back, in the pujari room, there's, other types of paraphernalia. All that paraphernalia is called tadiya. It's in the service of the Supreme Lord and as worshipable as the deity. Tadiya. So Gopal understood that. He understood that because, after all, his father was the chief priest of the deity. So he knows deity worship inside out and backwards and forwards and upside down, and he knows everything. not just in theory. So he understood what that gift represented, and he worshipped the gift. While he was still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still present, he sent another message to Gopal that goes like this: do not become dependent upon security or adopt a permanent residence. Please spend most of your time assisting Rupa and Sanatan in compiling transcendental literature and thoroughly study this literature as well. So for some period of time, and it's unclear for what period of time, some short period of time, he was the pujari for Govindaji. Instead of pujari for Ranganath, he's the pujari for Govindaji in Vrindavan. And at the same time, he was feeling pain of separation. It's a transcendental emotion. There's separation, there's worldly, and there's transcendental separation. So he was feeling transcendental separation. So he had a dream of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his dream, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you want my darshan, make a trip to Nepal. Now, what do you make a trip to Nepal to do? The river where Shalagram Shilas are to be found. So he went. And it's a very interesting description. He went, he gathered 12 Shilas, and as he was a long journey to go to Nepal, and he almost made it back to Vrindavan, and his heart was heavy, feeling, I'm not qualified. What am I doing? So he went all the way back to Nepal, and in a little container, he was placing the Govardhan, the Shalagram Shilas back in the river, and they jumped into his pot again. The description goes. So he understood they wanted to be worshipped by him. He tried again, and he surrendered. Okay, that's what you want. So then he began worshiping. But remember, as Lord Chaitanya said, if you want my darshan, then make a trip to Nepal. So he's back in Vrindavan, worshipping his 12 Shalagram Shilas. And then something else happened. Transcendental, something else happened. There was a wealthy merchant that had visited Vrindavan and became so moved by the exalted bhakti of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he wanted to make a gift to each of them. And so he decided to make a gift of paraphernalia with which they could, using, they could worship their deity. So he gave to everyone, including Gopal. But Gopal has these 12 Shilas, and what to do with expensive cloth and ornaments and things that other deity worship has. But he just have Shalagram Shilas, so he was like bewildered. What to do. It's very consistent. There are many biographies that say the same thing. He did his worship. He ended the day offering his prayers and put the deities to rest. And when he got up in the morning, he kept the deities very carefully, and there weren't 12 Shilas, there were 11. And so he looked around, and he saw the self-manifesting Radharaman from one of his 12 Shilas. And specifically, some persons know the details of one Shila and another Shila and another Shila, and he certainly knew. There's this Damodar Shila manifested Radharaman. And there's a particular time, the particular day, so they have a big festival in Radharaman temple since that time, when the appearance of Radharaman. We're going to see many pictures of Radharaman. He's very photogenic. And he was worshiping and worshiping and worshiping and worshiping, and one day, a young boy came to him, just stood at the door as he was doing his puja. So when he finished his puja, he asked, "Who are you?" He said, "My name is Gopinath. I've come here to serve you." He said, "Can you elaborate a little bit?" He said, "Yes. Long ago, you may recall, you were visiting, you were heading for the Gandaki River, and you passed through Haridwar, and in one of the places, there was a big rainstorm. And so I'm from that village. And when my father, very kindly gave you shelter in the midst of the rainstorm, and you befriended my father, and my father poured out his heart and said, I have no son." And so Gopala Bhatta Gosvami blessed the Brahmana. "May you one day have a very qualified son, not just a son, but a very elevated Vaishnava as a son." And that's me. I'm the son of that same pujari, of that same Brahmana. I'm come to do your service. My name is Gopinath. So he became known as Gopinath Pujari. And not only Gopinath Pujari, but for his whole life, he remained a celibate brahmachari and became Gopinath Pujari Goswami. And Gopinath had a younger brother. Gopinath's younger brother was Damodar, so Damodar and Gopinath both became disciples and assisted. Gopinath remained brahmachari. Damodar became a grahastha, and he had some sons, and his sons also became nice devotees. And later, the next generation of the ones to serve the deity of Radharaman. So Radharaman is a self-manifesting deity. From a Shalagram Shila, he manifested. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And what was the reason? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you want to not feel separation from me, go to Nepal. And then the next, and then the next, and the next. So now here's a close-up of Radharaman, and as you see, there's no flute in his hand because of the position of his fingers. But so they place a flute across both of his arms, and here's a close-up of the flute that's across his arms. And here's an even closer close-up of his face. Now, during some period of time, it was just, he was under a tree, doing this puja under a tree, because he was a mendicant. And until there was a proper tree, he under a tree, he hung under a tree, and then at night, because Vrindavan can be a little risky for people that want to steal. So at night, because it's a celebrated self-manifesting deity, there was no problem finding people that would help. And the deities, the Shalagram Shilas and Radharaman, were taken in a boat, anchored in the middle of a lake, protected by guards with poison-tipped arrows and bows. Until one fine day, someone came along saying, "I'd like to build a temple." So he accepted. It wasn't for him, it was for the deity. And it is said about this temple, because it's one of the first temples to be constructed in Vrindavan. The architecture is very refined, and it's been renovated, a number of times over the years. But a very, very special architecture. Those of you that get the opportunity to go to Vrindavan, I'm sure you'll want to go to see Radharaman, and you want to examine the architecture. It's a very special place, and a secluded place, because that's the kind of personality that Gopala Bhatta was. One time there were some scientists that were doubtful, self-manifesting deity, Pui. So the pujaris permitted them, and they examined the deity up close, and they could find no evidence of carving. Rather, there's this little bulge in the backside of the deity from which the deity emerged. From the Shila, the deity manifested. And it's on the backside. We don't see the backside. There's a celebrated book called Bhakti Ratnakar, and Bhakti Ratnakar has many nice things to say, but one of the nice things it says is, after Lord Chaitanya's lifetime, there's many leelas not in Chaitanya Charitamrita that are in this other book. And it's a recognized, authorized book. Narahari Chakravarti was the author. Whatever desires manifest in the heart of Gopala Bhatta, Radharaman would fulfill. And one thing and the next thing and the next thing. Exactly what had happened. Exactly what happened. And then again, and then again. So he had only spiritual desires. He was very simple. The Lord Chaitanya's instructions were you study, assist Rupa and Sanatan, study their writings, and assist them in whatever way you can, and become very familiar with their teaching. So he did. Then we're going to see a list of the books that he wrote. Becoming subservient to the love of Sri Gopal Bhatta, Radharaman would sometimes accept the form of Gaurasundar. Remember the instruction. Lord Chaitanya said, if you're feeling separation from me, go to Nepal. So while worshipping, it happened in a dream, it happened in their childhood, but now it's happening as his deity. He would be worshipping the deity of Radharaman, and suddenly the form of Lord Chaitanya would manifest. And then the form of Lord Chaitanya would be withdrawn, and it was again Radharaman. He was convinced. Now, during Srila Prabhupada's time, the chief priest of the Radharaman temple was recognized in all of Vrindavan as the most authoritative person, because he's in disciplic succession, trained by Gopala Bhatta, who's perfectly knowledgeable in everything to do with deity worship. So Vishwambar Goswami was during Prabhupada's time, and I was present for this big festival, and Vishwambar Goswami was like the chief priest, overseeing everyone's everything. And the way that I learned something by watching, if there was some mistake, he'd stop them. They'd go back to before the mistake and do it again, so there weren't any mistakes. Very, very, and they all accept it. Brahmanas are a little proud sometimes. Knowledgeable Brahmanas are very, very prone to pride, but they all accepted Vishwambar Goswami. That's why Prabhupada wanted him to be the chief priest. So there would be questions later, it wasn't done properly, blah, 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 blah. So all the rituals were under Vishwambar Goswami, and his son is Padmanabha Goswami. And here's something by Padmanabha Goswami. The reason why the deity form of Radha is not by Radharaman's side is because when the form manifested from a Shalagram Shila, no Radha was by his side. Because Shalagram Shila is Narayana. not Lakshmi Narayan, but Narayana. So there's no Radha by his side. And so what did they do? From the time of Gopala Bhatta, they have by the side of Gopala Bhatta, they have a name of Radha placed under a crown. Others say Gopala Bhatta Goswami saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu within Radharaman, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already includes Radha. But here's what the worship is. You see on the over by one side, there's this canopy above Radharaman, and there's another canopy above. You don't see a deity because there's no deity. Radha is not present in deity form, but Nama. Her name is inscribed in Sanskrit on a gold plate, placed beneath a cloth or a crown. And check this out. The deity has teeth. Tiny teeth. And he's a dapper dresser. During different seasons, this is the season he's taking the form of the bumblebee. And there's Nama Radha by his side. And there's so many nice forms of the photos of the deity. We will be here all day to show them. One time, some of you may know, when Lord Chaitanya came to Vrindavan, one of the persons that accompanied him was Bhugarbha Goswami. Bhugarbha Goswami stayed behind when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left. Those of you that have been to Vrindavan at the Radha Damodar temple, over on the side, there's a samadhi of Rupa Goswami, and there's also a samadhi of Bhugarbha Goswami, intimate associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was very elderly, and one time he wanted to be with Gopala Bhatta Goswami while he was worshipping his deity. So the statement here says, dear friend Bhugarbha Goswami would sometimes sit by his side and observe the amazing devotion with which the Shilas were worshipped. So it's not only Radharaman, it's the other 11 Shilas. So he, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, had that kind of devotion. And then here's some of the dapper dresses of the deity. Very colorful, nice color combination. Here's a close-up of the same outfit. Written about Gopala Bhatta, because that's what we're doing here, where this is Disappearance Day. Gopala Bhatta had the stature of a king, the presence of the best of Brahmanas, and his eyes and smile radiated compassion. A nice description. Now, in addition to where he performed his worship in Vrindavan town, there's another Radharaman temple at Radhakund. And look, there's the outside of the temple, and there's the courtyard in front of the temple, and there's Gopala Bhatta. Now, he spent his time, of course, in Vrindavan town, not at Radharaman, not at Radhakund, but his deity made its way to Radhakund. It's not the same Radharaman, but the name of the deity here is Radharaman, and with Radha by his side, and then Revati Balaram. Revati Balaram. This is in Radhakund. Now, here are some of the books that he wrote. We're nearing a conclusion. Sat Kriya Sara Deepika, or in simple English translation, illuminations of the essence of rituals to be performed by devotees. This book focuses on the Grihastha ashram. Now, he was a sannyasi or a mendicant, but he certainly knew, because he knew everything, about the procedures and rituals. And he customized, because he grew up in Sri Rangam, he knew the Ramanujacharya model, but he had become a Gaudiya Vaishnava. He's eternally. But so he took the tenets, the vidhis, and customized them according to Gaudiya teachings. And in addition to the four grihasthas, there was a similar book for sannyasis, in details and details and details and details of how a sannyasi should live their life. Then a broader text is Hari Bhakti Vilas. Now, there's a lot to say about his literatures, but a version that I like. Let's say, step back. Aside from the version I like, there's some question about who the author of Hari Bhakti Vilas is. In publication, Sanatana Goswami is said to be the author of Hari Bhakti Vilas. However, the version I like is that he, Sanatana Goswami, agreed to take the manuscript during the 22 years that he was residing with his father and brother and uncle, father and two uncles, compiling the how to do everything by the followers of Lord Chaitanya. No, his uncle, Prabodhananda Saraswati, member, who gave him Diksha, he moved to Vrindavan, and he lived in Vrindavan. So he took everything that he learned from Ramanujacharya's teachings and the scriptures that they very carefully understand and follow, and customized it for followers of Lord Chaitanya. And so it's everything coming up soon. Janmashtami, how to observe Janmashtami. You want to know how to observe Janmashtami? Hari Bhakti Vilas. You want to know how to observe Ekadasi? Hari Bhakti Vilas. You want to know how to have a proper wedding? Hari Bhakti Vilas. You want to know how to do anything? Hari Bhakti Vilas. Anything. How-to manual to live your life as a Vaishnava, a Gaudiya Vaishnava. So he gave the understanding that I have is, when he reached Vrindavan, he gave the manuscript to Sanatana Goswami saying, please take all of this. You probably know somebody. I know some devotees. They don't like computers. They just like to, and during his time, there were no computers. It was just handwritten compilation of a manuscript. And he gave the manuscript to Sanatan, put it in order for publication on one request. Don't mention my name. So that's what happened. It's Gopala Bhatta's writing with Sanatana Goswami's signature on it. So it was a combined effort, one could say, fairly, one could say. And something similar happened. Gopala Bhatta wrote the Sandarbhas, and he gave the Sandarbhas to Jiva Goswami. Please put it in a publishable form on one condition. Don't mention my name. He was a private person. He followed Lord Chaitanya's teachings or instructions, but he was a private person. So what Jiva Goswami did is he didn't mention his name. He just said, one Bhatta from South India provided all this text.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I don't either. So Gopala Bhatta was the author, and it bears the name of Jiva Goswami. Now, Jiva Goswami wasn't needing anything because he's super scholar himself. So it's a combination. You know, the fingerprints of Jiva Goswami are all over the Sandarbhas. But one has to also acknowledge credit to Gopala Bhatta. And he, Gopal, wrote a foreword to the Sandarbhas. He wrote a commentary. One of the favorite books of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his early sannyas period was Krishna Karnamrita by Bilvamangala, and wrote a commentary on Krishna Karnamrita. And each of these, he made some request. Like, for example, when it came time for Krishnadas Kaviraj to write, under the request of all the Vaishnavas, to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, he did many things. One of the things, he went to Gopala Bhatta and asked his permission. He said, yes, on one condition. Guess what? Don't mention my name. So he didn't. He got the blessings of Gopala Bhatta without mentioning his name. So this is his disappearance day, and his around the corner from the temple, very near to the temple, is his samadhi. And this is on his disappearance day. This is what the samadhi looks like on his disappearance day. And that's what we're observing today, is the disappearance day of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So what can one say? You know, what the lineage of the six Goswamis is totally transcendental. From the very beginning, from the very get-go, totally transcendental. And all of what they did, same. So look at this, it's 20 minutes to 8. We've gone for an hour and 10 minutes. Let's see if there's some discussion. Now I'm getting used to liking the classes in Naperville because there's always so many lively questions. Most of them are good questions too. So who is the first one to raise their hand? You gotta use the microphone because there are people listening. You get a little button on the side.
Hi Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for filling us in with the stories. I've got one basic question. So Radha Raman emerged from the Sheela, right?
Yes.
So when was the name given to him as Radha Raman? And who gave it?
The name, my understanding is, Gopal Bhatta gave the name and everyone, raised their arms and said Hari Bol. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. I have actually two questions. The first one is, do all Shaligrama Shilas become or manifest as murtis?
No.
In the rites of... Oh,
No. That's one of a kind.
So wonderful.
They first of all, there's no installation required. They are already Narayana Shilas. And by different names, those people that are connoisseurs of Shila worship, they know this name, that name, the other name, the other name. I don't. Some people do.
Okay, Maharaj, thank you so much. Then the second one is more a comment. Radha Ramanji is so stylish.
He's
his
spiffy.
Eyes, the way he's dressed, he's mesmerizing.
Oh. And there's no one style. He's got something for... Go ahead.
That's all, Maharaj. Thank you.
I invite you, go online. And there's abundance, outstanding photographs. He's so spiffy. He's a dapper dresser. There's no one like him. And not so long ago, someone sent me a photo. Not so long ago was Rath Yatra in Puri. And on Rath Yatra day, he's on a Rath cart. In the peak of mango season, he's in an ocean of mangoes. There's no limit to how the pujaris envision, and they dream and they live with him. And there's a whole team of pujaris, and they're immersed in Radharaman bhakti. Okay, someone else?
So there was one doubt I always had, and you clarified that. The side you have Naam of Radharani. I always used to wonder what that is, and today I got.
Well, now you have the answer.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Well, it's not me. I'm just sharing. There's several hands. Pass the microphone up. There's one hand over here. There's one hand on the stairs.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. After listening to this lecture, I understood that Hari Bhakti Vilas book is very important.
Yes.
So I was thinking why it has not been included in Bhakti Shastri.
Because it's not Bhakti Shastri.
Reading all by ours, I'm not that very good in reading. I don't take that motivation, but if someone can teach us, we have wonderful teachers here, Satrupa Mataji, Vamsi Prabhu, Yamuna Jivan Prabhu. If they could teach here.
Because there's such detail in Hari Bhakti Vilas, your head would spin.
Okay.
And it's not, it's for people who want detail. And it's there. Authorized detail. Enough to make your head spin on any topic. How to brush your teeth, any topic. So it's not part of the curriculum. There are places where it's taught, but it's not, for every Prabhu. It's for, people that want the esoteric, refined detail. And they love it. Some people love it. And most of our Prabhus, they need ABC. And then the graduate study and the postgraduate study, and go through that, and then you can think about Hari Bhakti Vilas. It is important.
Sure.
Okay, over here. You gotta hit the button.
I recall hearing from you several times how Rupa Goswami appreciated Radharaman Deity as a form that is most close to Krishna's form. And
Yeah, I didn't mention that tonight.
Very beautiful. And Shalika has a question. She had to leave to pick up her kid. It is said that time erodes everything, but in the case of spiritual personalities such as Gopala Bhatta Gosvami and Srila Prabhupada, we see that they spent a lifetime in preparation, and the passing of time did not erode but intensified their fidelity to serving the order of their superiors, even in separation. What measures can I take today to enhance the possibility that my chastity to Prabhupada will stand the test of time?
Well, keep following and keep hearing, and let the principle. This microphone stand needs to be fixed. Not the microphone, the stand. So you do something, because it keeps sagging, it goes down, and Okay. Associate with sadhu sangha. This is how to sadhu sangha, and be in stay close to the association of those who are faithful followers, and help you become a faithful follower, and let the message enter, and every day renew the effort to make the message enter. And every day you cultivate that let the message enter mood, and the message will enter, and that guides your life. How do you become an advanced devotee? By associating with advanced devotee and serving them. No, just I did that already. It didn't help.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for a wonderful pastime of Gopala Bhatta Goswami and how Radharaman DT had manifested. My question is, when it really made me feel like I was going on a yatra there. So thank you so much for showing the pictures and everything, the stories. My question is, of course, now when I go, I'll have a different type of mood. So what should be my mood when I go visit Radharaman temple in Vrindavan?
And sweetness combined. The deity is otherworldly. From the history we went through, it's met because Gopala Bhatta desired, and Lord Chaitanya authorized that he desire and get his association that way. It's just, it's like soon we'll be observing Krishna Janmashtami, and that's transcendental, but it's like so long ago, and you go into Radharaman temple, and it's current history. There's no such thing as a deity manifesting from Shalagram Shila. There's no such thing. And why? Gopal Bhatta wanted. He just had a desire. That's it.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So it's totally amazing. Yes.
Guru Maharaj, this is very heart-touching and very enlivening. I just fell in love with Radharamanji in my recent trip to Vrindavan. I had some very special reciprocation, so it's really so sweet and hearing from you. Just couple reflections, Guru Maharaj. One thing I was thinking, Shalagram Shila, as you're mentioning, it's a form of Lord Narayana, and the mood of worship is that
Different.
Aishwarya and opulence. But it's just so amazing to see, though we understand they're non-different, but the mood, how it shifted. And as you're describing, Radharamanji is like so sweet, like palpably sweet. And we are able to access that sweetness of the Lord by such amazing devotion and love that Gopala Bhatta Goswami has.
Okay, it's a nice comment.
Yeah.
I agree. Where is it? Is there a limit? There's no limit. And supposing somebody here goes to make a pilgrimage to Vrindavan and they don't experience what you experienced, it's not like there's something wrong with that person or there's something wrong with the place. It's just when one gets mercy, it's mercy. And there's no. The eagerness for mercy helps one to receive the mercy, but it's not, there's something wrong with you if you don't have that same experience. But the sweetness is abundant. The place is not ostentatious at all. It's very simple.
The second reflection, Guru Maharaj, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Gopala Bhatta Goswami when he was 7 years old, just stay here and take care of your current duties of your current position and continue hearing and chanting. So this message of Sthane Sthita, it's so amazing how it's repeating. And last evening we had His Holiness Vedavyasa Prabhu.
Well, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam are the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The language may not be precisely the exact same language, but the teachings are the same. 100%. 100%. Others?
Just a historical question.
Historical. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Do we have the name of the river in Nepal where all the shaligrams are found? Are they still available?
Gandaki.
Gandaki? Gandaki. Okay. And still there are shaligrams?
Of course.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Wonderful.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know
If they're gonna
they like
manifest, I don't know.
keep producing or reproducing, or because many people go, and that's the place you go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I had one question about the deity's eyes. Whether his eyes were like that when he manifested, or
No, they add. They put the conch shell eyes on
Okay.
and then remove them.
Okay.
It's not
Thank
part
you,
of the
Maharaj.
self-manifesting.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
The form of the deity. Then there's conch shell eyes. There's many deities that have, not necessarily that same style eyes, but some eyes like that. Conch, they're called conch shell eyes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.